TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News, broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, Jerusalem's top defense official urges IDF forces to remain vigilant and prepare for war with Hezbollah. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken tells the Senate Foreign Relations Committee that the Biden administration will work to advance bipartisan legislation to hold the ICC and its prosecutor accountable. Ireland, Spain, and Norway announced their respective decision to recognize a Palestinian state. The IAF continues to gradually intensify its operational activities throughout the Gaza Strip, including in the northern, central, and southern districts of the enclave. In a surprise visit by the IDF Chief of General Staff Lieutenant General Herzia Levi in the Jabalia sector, accompanied by Southern Command Commanding Officer Major General Yaron Finkelman, where they received a comprehensive situation assessment from the division and brigade commanders.
We are in a war that we said from the beginning would be a prolonged one. They have entrenched themselves here for years in defense, and it won't be dismantled in a week or even a month. The mission, as the commanding officer of the Southern Command said, is to kill as many commanders and terrorists as possible and to destroy the infrastructure. We very much want this pressure to help us to bring back hostages alive. And we are also ready to undertake dangerous and complicated operations to bring the bodies of our hostages back for burial in Israel.
While stressing the high value of repeatedly reminding the troops of their core missions, IDF forces operating in the field are reportedly maintaining high morale as they continue to make gains in multiple sectors, including in the southernmost border town of Rafah.
We are currently situated in eastern Rafah, continuing to deepen the operation. We will continue to carry out the mission for as long as it takes. During the last week, we cleared several areas here and located several tunnel shafts which were destroyed.
Meanwhile, on the northern front with Lebanon, Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant visited commanders and soldiers of the 188th Brigade, which is deployed at the forefront of the friction line with the Lebanese Iranian proxy Hezbollah.
Brigade 188, the Golani Brigade, including the battalions and units, fought in an unprecedented way in the Gaza Strip. These include October 7th and very difficult battles, and also thereafter in cleansing the sector and the entry into the corridor, the sea, Sheikh Ajlan, and thereafter into the entire coastline, Tel El Awa, and back into Zaytown and Shujaiya. You worked in a very impressive manner and a very good combination of forces. You must know that while you are here, controlling the north of Israel, there are forces that are fighting in Rafah, and there are forces that are fighting in Jabalia, and these forces are completing the tasks. And this mission continues and advances, and the results will be achieved. We will dismantle the Hamas organization. It will not maintain military capabilities. This doesn't mean that there won't be any terrorists. There will be terrorists, but to maneuver organized forces in the manner in which they did, we won't permit.
Minister Gallant, who was told prior to the Gaza offensive that such a full-scale operation as we see today would not take place versus Hamas, urged the troops to remain vigilant and prepare for a full-scale war with Hezbollah in Lebanon.
The fighting in the south granted the entirety of the IDF, and you and your commanders in particular, a lot of knowledge that serves us vis-a-vis all that is taking place in the north. I remember the first weeks when we were in the south. When I spoke to our forces on the ground, everyone explained to me that we won't do anything. You saw what we did and what we still intend to do. Be prepared for the north as well.
It is important to highlight that the IDF is holding separate exercises to prepare its ranks for any possible scenario. And while most of these exercises are long in the planning, alongside the integration of new defensive and offensive systems into operational capacity, including a new Iron Dome aerial defense battalion, the Israel Air Force Chief of Staff Major General Tomer Bar proclaimed full preparedness to wage war against Hezbollah and Iran's other tentacles.
For over 7 months, the soldiers of the Aerial Defense Array have been engaged in a multi-front defensive war that is unprecedented in scope. Israel is one of just a few countries in the world that possesses such sophisticated and expansive air defense systems operated by such high-quality people. Alongside the strong defense, we are operating offensively, denying Hezbollah its capabilities, shoulder to shoulder with the Northern Command. Together, we will know how to expand and intensify the offensive if required. It will be an offensive with massive firepower, which will remove threats and allow for a change in the security reality in the north. We have trained for this. The Air Force is prepared for this.
It is important to revert to remarks made by Defense Minister Gallant on the Northern Front, who told IDF troops that the decision by the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court to seek arrest warrants against him and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was in fact an orchestrated attempt by Israel's enemies to deprive the nation state of the Jewish people from its basic right of self-defense.
The State of Israel faces an attack, which isn't only by terror actors that fire. There is a struggle that aims to inhibit our right of defending ourselves. This is orchestrated by hostile forces, including in the Palestinian Authority, in Hamas and other places, Hezbollah and Iran. Their logic also entails a global campaign. Whoever attacks the Prime Minister and Defense Minister and wants to take them to the International Criminal Court in The Hague also attacks the IDF soldiers, because later they intend to arrest the commanders or will try to arrest the soldiers. No one around the world has the moral right to criticize the State of Israel and our capabilities, including the path which we adopted. Before every attack, we relocate civilians to ensure they are unharmed. There aren't many who do this. It is very important for me that you understand that you are fighting the most just war which the State of Israel ever waged.
Meanwhile, in Washington, during a Senate Foreign Relations Committee hearing, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken was asked by Republican Senator James Rich whether the Biden administration would support legislation that would essentially hold the International Criminal Court in The Hague and its chief prosecutor accountable for their blatant breach of their mandate under international law, as is clearly laid out in the Rome Statute.
Senator Rich, in short, let's look at it. We want to work with you on a bipartisan basis to find an appropriate response. I'm committed to doing that. As you say, the devil's in the details, so let's see what you got, and we can take it from there.
While the majority of Western nations have voiced outrage over the ICC prosecutor's request to produce arrest warrants for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, only a select few have showcased moral clarity in vocally rendering the prosecutor's decision as overstepping the court's jurisdiction.
I don't believe for one moment that seeking these warrants is going to help get the hostages out, it's not going to help get aid in, and it's not going to help deliver a sustainable ceasefire. And as we've said from the outset, because Israel is not a signatory to the Rome Statute, and because Palestine is not yet recognized as a state, we don't think that the court has jurisdiction in this area. But I would go beyond that and say, frankly, I think this is mistaken in terms of position, in terms of timing, in terms of effect. To draw moral equivalence between the Hamas leadership and the democratically elected leader of Israel, I think is just plain wrong.
London's top diplomat further revealed that in addition to the breach of the court's jurisdiction and the clear issue related to morals, The ICC prosecutor also acted in bad faith when he decided to abandon a planned working trip to the State of Israel.
On timing, I'd make the point to the Lordship's House that the ICC was about to embark on a visit to Israel, which some of us had helped to arrange, and at the last minute decided to cancel that visit and simply go ahead with its announcement. Now, it's not normally for the ICC to think about the effect, but as it clearly thought about the timing, maybe it should also think about the effect. And as I've said, it's not going to help get the hostages out, and it probably makes change in Israel less likely.
It is important to know that while the majority of European states have cast doubt over the prosecutor's decision, the majority of European states have constitutional clauses that grant international treaties precedence over national laws, and as such have little to no legal capacity to object to the dangerous precedents which the ICC prosecutor set forth. In other dramatic news, Ireland, Norway, and Spain have announced their respective decision to recognize a state of Palestine.
Today, Ireland, Norway, and Spain are announcing that we recognize the state of Palestine. Each of us will now undertake whatever national steps are necessary to give effect to that decision. In the lead up to today's announcement, I've spoken with a number of other leaders and counterparts, and I'm confident that further countries will join us in taking this important step in the coming weeks. This is an historic and important day for Ireland and for Palestine.
The Spanish Prime Minister, for his part, claimed that the decision was reached by his ultra-radical progressive coalition after it deemed that Israel was not pursuing peace with the Palestinians.
And if one thing is clear to me, it is that Prime Minister Netanyahu has no peace project for Palestine. Fighting the terrorist group is legitimate and necessary after the events of October 7th. But Netanyahu is creating so much pain and so much destruction and so much rancor in Gaza and the rest of Palestine that the viability of two-state solution is in serious danger.
The Norwegian Prime Minister, for his part, utilized his public declaration to also urge other European nations to follow suit.
Recognition of Palestine is in support of moderate forces that are on a retreating front in a protracted and cruel conflict. This is an investment in the only solution that can bring lasting peace in the Middle East. It is a strong call to other countries to do the same as we are doing today, to recognize Palestine and thereby ensure that the process towards a two-state solution can start again and gain new momentum. In the middle of a war, with tens of thousands of dead and injured, we must keep alive the only thing that can provide a safe home for both Israelis and Palestinians, two states that can live in peace with each other, Israel and Palestine.
The Palestinian leadership in Ramallah warmly welcomed the decision by Norway, Ireland, and Spain to recognize a state of Palestine, absent a negotiated solution with Israel.
The recognition today of three important European countries is very important for the sake of peace, for the sake of seeking a two-state solution according to the international law. And we hope that the other European countries will follow, because this is the only way to achieve peace and stability in the world. So far, the Israelis and the Americans are against these steps, but the whole world is with us. 144 countries voted for Palestine 2 weeks ago in the United Nations. The American veto is always there, supporting Israel, supporting the occupation, and we hope that this is the right moment to understand that if the world needs peace, they have to talk with the Palestinian leadership, they have to talk with the international, to respect the international law and the Security Council resolutions.
Jerusalem, on the other hand, voiced outrage, recalled its ambassadors from Spain, Ireland, and Norway for consultations, and issued a severe démarche for the ambassadors of Madrid, Oslo, and Dublin, with additional punitive measures expected to follow. Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. I would like to encourage you, keep praying for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. Moreover, if you're blessed by our productions, which are exclusively donation-based, and as such broadcast free of charge, please consider making a donation. You can do so via our website at www.tv7israelnews.com. I'm Jonathan Hassan, wishing you an Erev Mevorach, and God willing, we will see you during our next update. Until then, Shalom from Jerusalem.